Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malewski, and the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. Sitting in my hot seat today is a very special guest. It's Dr. Chris Pearson. He is the founder and CEO of BlackCloak, a very cool name company, BlackCloak.io, which does something very different, very innovative, and well needed, given the fact that if we even look at the Verizon data breach, over 71% of executives are a major target of cybercrime. Dr. Pearson, welcome, and tell us what you do and how you do it.
Gary, great to be here. Thank you so much. At the end of the day, BlackCloak is Concierge Cybersecurity and privacy protection platform that protects corporate executives, C-suite individuals, executive leaders, and boards of directors in their personal lives. We protect those individuals who could be a point of breach back into the company in their personal lives, on their personal devices, by looking at their privacy, their devices, their homes, and ultimately back for the CISO, the peace of mind that they need to go and protect the other 50% of the day.
So the Chief Information Security Officer usually has their hands full, and they're focused on corporate-wide attacks and zero-day malware and training for anti-phishing, and the list goes on and on. So we've got this digital transformation happening where post-COVID, more than 50% of us are all working remotely. We're not in the office. We have executives working out of their house, at the coffee shop, wherever they feel like working, with a tablet, a laptop, a smartphone, all these devices that are now using SaaS apps and remotely accessing corporate infrastructure and important data. Are they the new target, and how do you protect them?
Yeah, we believe that the home is the new battleground. We believe that those executives, those key individuals are the new targets in terms of, and really quite honestly been the targets. It's just exacerbated by COVID-19. The fact of the matter is that executives are busy. They are working on individual personal devices that are not controlled by the company. Their personal email has corporate documents that are in it. Their homes are largely unprotected, unsecured, in terms of home cameras being on the net, IoT devices, routers, Crestron Savant home automation systems being not locked down. And so it really presents an increased attack surface back into that executive and back into the company, even on a privacy perspective wise. Their information is out on data broker websites out there, giving bad guys, cyber criminals, full access to what their personal email is, their home numbers, the family members that are part of that unit. It just allows for that to be much more targeted, and them to be much more targeted today than it did years ago. So it is a new attack surface, an increasing attack surface. And at the end of the day, it could cause a corporate breach.
Now, big executives in Fortune 1000, they'll travel with global bodyguards, folks that either are working with them in country, or they'll meet their bodyguard at the airport and hand off to the next, etc. And that person stays with them wherever they go and protects them because they're so important. Are you like this BlackCloak, the bodyguard of their privacy and their cybersecurity and their data wherever they are?
We are. Think about it as digital executive protection. You have this physical world of guns, guards, and gates, kidnap and ransom, all the things that you detail. But in their personal lives, there's nobody protecting them from the risks that they have as a result of the corporate leadership roles that they have, of the responsibilities that they have, the notoriety that they have. We are providing, and the BlackCloak platform provides, digital executive protection into them across those media, privacy, devices, home, peace of mind back to the CISO.
Dr. Pearson, I've heard that even in executive homes, they've got their low-cost security cameras. Maybe it was Xfinity and a big brand name like Comcast, or maybe it was just the Ring doorbell and other devices with Wi-Fi cameras in their house. Is it true that many of them are targets, and 1 in 5 of these camera devices are actually being used remotely by hackers to listen in on private conversations, take pictures, eavesdrop on these executives?
So yeah, what we've actually seen during our onboardings is that 20% of the individuals that we onboard, the executives that we onboard, their cameras and our home automation systems, and that includes routers, firewalls, all the rest, are wide open. So for clarity, wide open, addressable, default passwords, allowing cyber criminals the ability to access every single document, every single file, every single device that is on that home network. These systems are expensive systems, often installed by an audiovisual individual, and they're installed professionally, small holes in the walls, no dust, no cleanup. But in terms of cybersecurity, not so much. It's not part of the remit, not part of what they actually are trained to do. They're unpatched, and they present a real vulnerability back into the home and a vulnerability back into the corporate landscape.
Can you remotely fix these problems and patch, or do you have to give instructions or provide a report to the CISO? How does this get fixed and hardened?
Yeah, so a little bit of all that. We don't aggregate reporting goes back into the CISO. It's important for them to know when they onboard executives and buy seats to BlackCloak that the 50 seats, so to speak, that they've purchased, where people started out and where people are, but only at the aggregate level. So for all 50 executives, time 1 and time 2. But yeah, what we actually end up doing is providing the information, the instructions that are needed to go ahead and better secure those items, whether it be the cameras or the home automation systems. Now, they already have their IT guy. BlackCloak is a SaaS platform for cybersecurity and privacy, but they have their IT guy, and we work with them to make sure that it gets done the right way. Usually these are default passwords, improperly secured port-to-port transmissions, or items that haven't been patched in 5 years, 8 years, etc. And they're relatively easy fixes for those providers.
That sounds great. And then back to the computing, mobile devices, smartphones and laptops and tablets. What are you doing there? Are you deploying an agent? How does BlackCloak work, and what kind of reports are you providing both to the executive, and what kind of user interface do they see? Do they see anything, or is it all stealth and it all goes back to the CISO?
Yeah, so nothing goes back to the CISO, which is great, right? It's their personal life. So nothing goes back to CISO, nothing goes back to the company. What we're able to do is to provide both through our agent, our apps, whether it be a cell phone, a tablet, or a computer, live real-time response as to a green, amber, red. How are they doing? How are they doing on that specific device? How are they doing on the other devices in their home? All networked in together through the BlackCloak platform. So they can see their cell phone, tablet, computer, all of those things. They can actually see how their home did on the last pen test and scan. They can see how their data broker information, how much of it is being removed, or if it's ongoing, or if there have been roadblocks. They can actually see if they have any new breaches out there that their passwords are a part of. So providing that deep level of data in a very simplified executive level dashboard back to the executive is really our remit. Once again, aggregate statistics back into the CISO. They know it's a risk. They know this is a risk area that needs to be covered off. Providing that high level back to them in the aggregate is good enough for the company.
So Dr. Pearson, how do people find BlackCloak? I know you've got a great website. Are you selling direct? Are you selling through channel? Is this an MSSP bolt-on opportunity? How do people get you?
Yeah, so what's exciting about this is that we are the first digital executive protection platform that is out there that is paying attention to this area. We go direct to different CISOs and different companies that we know, that our team knows, that our sales executives know. We actually do work with some VARs in terms of the different sales motions that they have there, as well as others, benefit brokers, because this is one of those key executive benefits that actually executives want. They want this taken care of. They want the husband, wife, spouse, significant other. They want them to be cared for. As a result of their position, they have increased risks that come along with the job, like increased perks, but also some increased risks. And those risks and perks are both borne by them and their loved ones. And so they also are seeking out and having their CISO and CIO seek out solutions for them. So it comes in from all that.
Would you say that you belong in all verticals at the Fortune 1000 level, at government contractors? Should any mid-market business, what size business executive is a target nowadays?
As everyone is a target, and all businesses are targets. Where we find ourselves is definitely playing in that Russell 3000, Fortune 5,000, but we're in the Fortune 100. We are actually going in and protecting large companies with large deployments to large sets of executives and board of directors. They also provide a potential path of vulnerability and path of risk back into the company. Sometimes it might just be an executive team that's smaller size, so 15 executives. Other times we're looking at those full-blown rollouts of the 40 and 50 person executives. It's really up to each company to pick and choose and select what they want to do, and many opportunities to grow from there. We want to make sure we're covering off and we also want to make sure we're not covering off just only the executives, It's the executives, the C-suite, the ELT, SLT teams, the senior leadership teams, but also key personnel. We have some companies that actually it's like that person is the one that's working on the COVID-19 vaccine. They're a researcher and they're not part of that executive team, but they're the key person. Or this is the person who actually came up with the new missile head secret technology, and they're the ones that the countries are going after, and they need to be protected. So that key personnel area definitely gets in there. But at the end of the day, if you have a reputational risk or whatever reputational risk, if your executive was compromised, or you have intellectual property that has found its way, is going to find its way inevitably onto the personal network of the executives, or the executives could be a point of attack back into the company, because number one, you could own their home and their home network that your corporate laptop is placed on. Then you, company of all sizes potentially, are potentially within the a list of growing members that can be brought onto BlackCloak.
And they say even in an SMB, one breach can put them out of business. It's 3 million or more in damages. So a couple quick questions before we wrap up. How easy is BlackCloak to deploy? How long does it take?
So in order to deploy to one executive, you're looking at 30 minutes. So we've had executives actually get on board the platform in 7 minutes. They do everything themselves, and then it's just a 30-minute meeting with us. We've had others where it's they go through the concierge, right? This is concierge onboarding. We're making sure that you understand what your password exposures are one by one. You understand what your IP addresses and what your homes are looking like one by one, right? These people with multiple homes. We're making sure that you understand how to decrease that privacy attack footprint, and we give you the updates on that. In addition to all of your devices, making sure your cell phone, tablet, computer are good, are protected. It's not something where we want you to just go to a link and download. Every single client of BlackCloaks has a concierge onboarding with us, with our team, and we're actually going through, it's almost like a physical, but it's great. It feels great afterwards, right? Where you're actually getting that entire, right, whole picture of your digital life all taken care of and all protected. So well worth it. And look, in future years, after that first onboarding, you're talking about a minute or two for any new device that you want to bring on board. We actually mostly have people, right, onboarding themselves these days in terms of the technology. And then we're just helping them with some of the final few steps and getting a lot of questions. Executives, boards, they have, so you just open up the news any day and cybersecurity is right there on top. They have questions. They want to understand what role do they play? What role does their personal life play? And they're asking us lots of questions.
Last question, do you allow or offer any kind of proof of value or proof of concept or a quick trial to, I'm sure, open up their eyes to how much risk they have?
So we don't have a business model that is a risk-based one where we actually send you a report and just say, hey, here are all the bad things about you. Companies know what is out there on their executives. They've seen it. We just do is we solve it. At the end of the day, we solve it with them and for them. Sometimes companies start out smaller. They might start out with only 10 executives before going to the 50-person executives. So we do have that in terms of proof of concepts, but this is not a system by which, because it is so concierge and so highbrow, where you get on one person here or there. It's not really conducive towards that, given the amount of concierge onboarding that we actually have and the depth of the platform in terms of full-blown home penetration tests and digital life type of risk evaluation. So
it sounds to me like you're the last mile, especially since COVID, with so many people working remotely and from home. Digital executive protection. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Dr. Pearson, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers or listeners?
No, look, I think I was a former CISO myself, and I couldn't solve this home risk. I couldn't solve the personal life of the executives. It always worried me. It worried me what their homes were looking like. It worried me about their personal passwords. It worried me about the personal data that they were getting onto their home devices, printers, all the rest. With COVID-19, I think that things have only become exacerbated. This is a way, once and for all, to actually solve the problem, solve that risk, right, for your executives. Protect your company by protecting your executives, so to speak. And it's a great addition into any cybersecurity program.
That sounds great. This is a wonderful hot seat interview. This is an area that everybody needs protection. If you're an executive, or as you said, somebody who's a key person on a project that's so important, it's time to get digital executive protection from BlackCloak at blackcloak.io. And then come back next time for another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV.